I guess some updates on my end. I mean, we launched the details that we are entering into Sterling, which is I had like a bit of a panic moment where like as soon as we press the send button, I'm like, there's all these thoughts of like technically we didn't sit in we didn't like sit together and like sign anything. It's just like we sent over a lease. There was technically no signatures, but like the license agreement is like all in place and like. We're touring the facility again tomorrow to figure out where, like, what fridge space we're going to get, what freezer space we're going to get, and things like that, and finish the
Mm-hmm.
onboarding process of getting our license and things like that.
Hmm.
Um, but like, yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, we're getting ready to move into the brick and mortar. Things have been sort of finalized, and we are sort of happy with what we have gotten. Now I think the real work begins, right? Like all the marketing things like that is fun because like people are like, wow, like congratulations, it's big. But then for us now the timer is really ticking where every day from this point on has to be spent doing something productive, so something good. Because in reality, 60 days is a lot of time, but it's also not a lot of time. We already spent 7 days of it this week, like just getting up to speed on things and like trying to wait for responses from people and things like that. So sometimes the ball takes a little bit to get rolling, but then I think once it gets really rolling, I think the momentum will start to pick up hopefully. And then, I think there will come a point where we realize something's going to take way longer than expected and that'll light a fire under our ass. And then we'll have to move a little bit faster. But, for the time being, I think we're sort of trying the best we can. Like we did two pop-ups today, which was a ton of fun. And we actually did pretty well at both pop-ups. But then it comes to a point where like Jimmy and I started again at 5 in the morning today. And like yesterday, I basically spent all day prepping. Today, I'm going to spend all day prepping for a different order tomorrow. So then it just becomes like, at what point, like, we still want to make sales because like we still want to stay consistent and like, sell and things like that. But there will come a transition point where we want to move to sort of like the new products and just give us enough time to R&D with the new products that we have and
Hmm.
figure out a way of how do we scale it because right now we're still struggling to figure out a way to scale the eggs, but we don't want to lose the eggs essentially.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I think the eggs are one of the highlights of the Gimbal.
Yep. And so I think we don't now the good news is we don't have to roll it so thin on the outside because now we'll have the rice.
Mm.
But I think the question now is like how do we keep it that round shape? Um,
Mm.
because the round shape honestly is very tricky.
Yeah.
And especially to do it at scale where we imagine we're trying to do like 300, 400 a day, hopefully. It's like I don't really know how we're going to do that yet.
Mm. Mm. Yeah.
Um,
How are the two pop-ups? What were is it different locations this time?
Yeah, and they were at different times. One of them was for the Hoka Running Club,
Hmm.
which is like or like I guess the Hoka store in downtown Chicago. It was a very cool event. We were super excited because I think Kimbap actually goes really well with running events. And
Mm.
so hopefully once we are able to produce things at scale, I'd love to reach out to some of the running events and start sort of going to those.
Mm.
Um, but I will say like you sort of have to find opportunities, I think, where they are. Like as an example, like this was sort of like our first endeavor into the running community, but it was very well received. Like people really liked our food. They also understood like, hey, it's like a great running food. Like it's like good, just like it's good fuel. It's got good amount of carbs. It's got a good amount of protein. It's got a good amount of veggies, and it's relatively nutritious.
Hmm.
And it's a compact form. It's not like you have to like try to eat down a whole bunch of stuff. It's very compact. It's very good. Um, the second pop-up at Daboba at a cafe was good. It was better than most of our other pop-ups, namely because we made a lot less because we knew sort of what to expect.
Mm.
Also, the cafe we went to opens at noon, and so by the time people started really trickling in and getting busy, it was already like one or two, and at that
Yeah.
point, it's usually customers don't really want a full meal, and so.
Mm.
I think again, the whole nature of it is like we're still doing like our proof of concept. Like I don't want to like sort of misconstrue this. I think we're still trying to figure a lot of stuff out, and um, the trouble, like or like the hard thing with pop-ups is that we can't reach the demographic of people that we want to reach, and therefore we can't really tell if this lack of sort of high level demand is really a lack of demand, or if it's just that we're not able to. It's like an accessibility problem. Our hunch is
Mm.
that it's an accessibility problem because most of the time it doesn't actually matter what the food is. If it's affordable and if it's accessible for lunch, most people will go to where they want to go. But like the problem is if it's located 15 miles away from downtown, then all of a sudden it's like it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And so I think the fight for us is like even if the food is if our food is good, but like it doesn't have to be magic. Like this food, in my mind, the food quality has to always be there and has to always be consistent, always has to be top notch for what it is. But it's not good food is not magic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so um we just have to make sure that we maintain that level of standard and find a way to do that in a systemized format,
Mm-hmm.
and then just be able to expand. I think the idea of scaling for a business like this, I think, is sort of the name of the game. Otherwise, we're sort of left in the dust because like it's this, the nature of Kimbap is that it's like affordable, it's quick, and it's convenient, right? Affordable, I think, is going to have to be relative and subjective just because in the market that we're in. But I think
Mm-hmm.
convenient and accessible and quick, I think that has to always be there.
Yeah. No, yeah, I can't agree more, especially because of the demographic you said you wanted to, reach essentially. And yeah, I think location's probably going to be huge, as you mentioned. And now that you're officially kind of moving into your phase of being where your primary customers are going to be, I think that's going to be interesting to see for your team to see
Yeah.
if the
And
demand
like
is really there.
I think honestly, we sort of got the best deal that we possibly could have.
Mm,
But part of it is luck. And again, I guess everything really sometimes comes down to luck, right? A part of it is trying, but then the other
mm,
part is luck, right? Like
mm,
made the effort to try and reach out to all the food halls just like randomly. Actually, it's funny. I actually emailed all like 4 or 5 food halls at midnight on a Saturday or something. And so nobody got back to us for a little bit. And like Sterling was actually my number one choice.
mm,
Just because I've been there and like I actually really enjoy the food. I enjoy the accessibility of it. Like our team has done lunch there probably. It's like the default option just because it's literally
mm,
2 doors next door. They also
mm,
consolidate your orders for you. It's like your life is just so easy. They just
mm,
literally just take it and they package it up for you. Um, and so it was my number one choice, but like I was like, there's no way we're gonna get into Sterling. That seems like a absolutely like way above, like it seems like it's crazy up there. But so sometimes in life there's just no harm in asking. And when we reached out, they wanted to do a phone call right away, and it seemed like they had one spot open.
wow.
They had technically had 3 spots open, but the other two they were like they were gonna get vendors in, and then the third one actually didn't have a kitchen hood. And so because of that, I think they were having a lot of difficulty trying to find vendors. But
Mm,
Kimbap, we don't necessarily need to cook anything on the site. And
mm,
so we were like, I think that'll work for us. And I think that spot's been empty for about a year just because no food vendor that makes food is going to be like, yeah, I don't need a kitchen to make our food.
right. Unless it's a dessert place, but yeah, I mean, for
Right.
like a company packed
Exactly. Where
geographic
you sort of
location, yeah.
exactly where you outsource the food, which actually Lido's Empanadas, which is right next door, that's what they do. They have like a tiny, I've never seen a stall that's that small. Like it's literally like a small box that somebody is in, but they have like a couple warmers and that's all they really need. They bring
Yeah.
the food in and they just sell it from that location. Um, but like I don't know. I think for us it's like we have to maintain a level of freshness, right? We have to roll it on the spot or like at least close, right? We have to be rolling so people see that it's like relatively, in front of
Hmm.
them. How we will keep up with demand during the lunch hours, I'm not really sure yet. I think that's one of those things we're just not going to know until you try it. And like that's like what I always think about like with food, especially now that I've been in this industry for about 6 months, is like you have to get real creative with how you solve problems. And it's not the
Hmm.
prettiest solutions, but like it works. Like as an example, like the other day I saw the chef, like he put like a big container on the ground and there's like these two cabinets or like these two what do they call it? There's these two counter spaces, right? It's
Hmm.
on rollers so you can kind of move them. But like it's like a just like a one long platform and they call it like the expo or the pass, like basically where the food gets made and then it gets put on the pass and then the expo person will grab it and then they'll serve it or like they'll hand it to the waiters. But there's like a long countertop and there's like a small gap in between those two countertops. What this guy did is he put a bucket underneath at the like on the ground. And I don't know if this is like health, whatever, but like you put it on the ground and like there's these little containers that they use, right? And, like they use them quite frequently. They like hold uni or whatever. Like, and it's like
Hmm.
you can't hold uni in like large containers, obviously, because you don't have enough space. So you can contain them in these small containers. Once he uses them, he literally just slides it in between the counters and then it drops on the ground. But then the bucket will catch it. And so then he literally spends He saves the 10 seconds it takes for him to take that and go back to the dishwasher and to give it to him. Like
mm,
that kind of like as soon as I saw that, I was like, but like there's no like this is how you solve kitchen problems. Like this is not like
mm,
magic. You whatever it might look real, not clean and pretty, but like it saves you time and it gets things done. And like that's the kind of mentality.
mm,
So I know I sort of went off on a tangent, but I just thought things like that are so interesting of like whenever we have these issues, like we try to think about these perfect solutions, but like no, it's like just figure something out to make it work in that moment. And
mm,
then if it's good enough, it'll stay. If not, then like you have to figure something out when you have more time.
mm. Do you feel that maybe some of your prior experiences kind of help flex those muscles also? Or
Yeah, I don't know. I think so, but also like this nature of problem solving, it's like a different kind of problem solving. The
mm,
nature of
mm,
wanting to solve it is the same.
mm.
Um, but like just the way that you have to think about it and like just from an operational standpoint, like you start to understand why like COOs are like a big thing, like not at the high big companies or whatever, but like at
Yeah.
the root of it, it's like how do you solve very operational problems of like how do you save somebody 2 seconds worth of time where if you multiply it by the 300 times they have to do it, it automatically saves you 600 seconds of time. Like that's a pretty significant amount of time. There's a sort of like a mentor figure that I talk to sometimes, and one of the things he said is like on paper, improve something 1% sounds real easy, but in practice, to save something or to do something 1% better is immensely difficult. And like that makes a ton of sense to me from all different aspects of not only just the problem solving, but then if you want to implement that with new people, you have to train them to do it, and then you have to enforce them to do it. And like if it's not in the right incentives, then they're not going to do it. So all those problems I think all accumulate, and it's a very interesting problem to solve. I'm not solving those problems yet. I
Mm,
literally, it's one step at a time. But like, it's just the nature of that kind of thinking is, I think, what is sort of cool.
mm. Yeah. And I think what's really interesting to hear from my end is that, this is real time. Sometimes it's, like maybe 10 minutes away. You really have to push that out, or maybe it's a custom right in front of you. And just being in that kind of speed and momentum
Yeah.
and live. Huge pressure, but at the same time. And that's the beauty of it as well.
Yeah, and there's like a whole different aspect to it with sales, right? And like I guess this is I'm slowly learning why like this entrepreneurship thing is so hard because there's so many different things you have to do at once, and
Mm,
one of them is sales. And today actually we started giving out samples towards the end
mm,
because it was getting to that 3 o'clock, and we're like we still have too much, so we're just gonna go down because the first floor of Chinatown is booming, like there's tons of people walking around.
mm,
Second floor is like the polar opposite, right? Like if you know where you're going, you will come up, but otherwise you just don't walk around in the
mm,
second floor. Um, and so I ended up just taking a bunch of samples and going down. But like Chinatown is a tough crowd. Like people look at you like you're scamming them. And in usual
mm,
sense, it's Chinatown, right? It's not like a nice neighborhood in next to a farmer's market. Like if you do that in a Seattle farmer's market, I'm pretty sure 9 out of 10 people will be like, yeah, let me try it.
mm,
Chinatown, like 30 people at the very beginning, I like they like gave me some very dirty looks, or like they like disregarded me quite often. And I actually think for like the first 10 or 15 people I like try to give it to or talk to, they were just like, we're good. Like don't talk to me.
mm,
Um, and so I was in that moment, I was like, maybe I should just not do this. I'll just go back up.
mm.
But I stuck it out. I probably gave samples of about 3 or 4 boxes worth, but
Wow.
it was a very sort of humbling experience of like, okay, this is what it feels like to get rejected in
Mm-hmm,
front of your face, and for people to like do it in a not so positive manner.
mm-hmm,
Um, and so I that and thankfully because I took it that way, I was able to stick it. I was like, I'm going to stick this out and I'm going to try to at least get some more samples. And I guess to a certain degree it worked because we were out by the next hour or so. We basically sold everything. There's a few like we're trying to test out. There's a side note, but like we're trying to test out different seaweed, and so some of them started ripping, and so we stopped selling them.
mm,
Um, but yeah, so that was a very interesting learning moment for me, where like I had success with some people, but like a majority of the people at Chinatown are not going to be like, oh yeah, let me go try out this free sample that this random Asian guy is trying to offer me, especially because I'm not wearing anything that's like food related.
mm,
So it literally looks like a like a stranger walking in. Um, but anyway, it was a good experience. So
mm, mm. Wow. This uh kind of inspired my head since you've been in, I guess, a variety of neighborhoods. Um, what has been like a memorable neighborhood for you
yeah,
where
I
you
mean,
did one of your pop-ups?
I think the first pop-up we did was probably one of the best, and I think maybe we were spoiled at the beginning. I think just, I mean, I think it also helps because it was our first one. I think there was a lot of people that wanted to show up and show support. Um, but I mean, it just first off, foot traffic at it's Fiat Five. It's called Fiat Five, and they're the owners are wonderful. They've been nothing but supportive, even after we've been gone for a while.
Mm.
Um, but like the foot traffic there is insane. Like when we got there, there was a line out the door. Um, and so, and what was cool is like when once we got there and we got set up, after a little bit, there was a line outside the door for us, right? So that's also a cool moment. And because it was our first one, I think there was a lot of nerves. We like got there 15 minutes late, as we pretty much always do at this point. Um, but like there was a lot of people waiting for us, and there's a lot of people that were looking for us. And granted, the thing about pop-ups too is that because we're in so many different areas of the city, like usually the reoccurring customers are a little bit harder just because like not every customer is going to drive 30 minutes out of their way to try and get kimbap, especially,
Mm.
so, it just doesn't make any sense from like a consumer behavior perspective. And so we do have had some people come out pretty much to all of our pop-ups. Those people they have and will continue to get a lot of love from us, and we obviously comp a few of their things. And I think just the amount of support that people have shown, I think is really just like an amazing feeling and sort of a very humbling experience. And it just sort of, it makes me think that like we should continue to sort of drive for bigger and better things. I don't know if I said this in the last call that we did, but when I went to St. Louis for this wedding, did I mention that there was sort of people that recognized? Yeah, I mean, and even now, like we got a DM from somebody at that wedding. They were like, "Hey, I'd love to come and try the food," and I was like, I don't know, it's just like a cool thing to know that the things that we do, right? Like even this social media thing, that's sort of the power of it, right? And I think we want to sort of leverage that a little bit more from this point on, and so I want to try to document a lot more of this process.
Mm.
We will see how it turns out. I think one of the things that's a little bit difficult about our social media right now is that like it's a little bit difficult for me to be like personable. Like I want to share more details and things like that, but because we're always so limited to 1 minute, like it's actually pretty difficult to make things, and I don't know how some of those content creators make it so personable and like authentic in that 1 minute.
Mm.
But I think that's going to be sort of the challenge for us as we start this like sort of mini series on what it takes to get this up and running.
Mm.
Because we're going to document like the 60 days that it takes. And like the things that are on my mind is obviously one is product development, trying to make sure that the eggs are scalable. The second
Mm.
piece is equipment. Like how do we outfit the place
Mm.
to make sure that we have sort of the necessary equipment and that they are all functional and that it passes the health
Mm.
standards. And then the third is probably just hiring people. We need to hire people and make sure that we are ready for day one. I'm not exactly sure how to do that yet. And so a lot of this is literally like, okay, let's just throw a shot in the dark, like sort of copy and paste what other people have been doing and hope that it works.
Mm.
And then sort of the last piece is that marketing. And right now, I think it's a little bit unfortunate because I think the priorities are flipped where like I'm focusing a little bit too much on marketing and social media.
Mm.
Um, Whereas I feel like I probably should be doing it the other way around. But
Mm.
just for right now, I mean, I think beginning next week, I think one of my biggest fears right now is just that I'm allocating the wrong amount of time to the wrong thing. And I think my gut is telling me that I am, and that I need to sort of refocus things to make sure that we are operationally able and our food will taste good on day one rather than
Mm.
people showing up on day one.
Mm.
Both are very, very important, but I think for right now, because we are further ahead on social media marketing than everything else. And
Mm.
so while I do want to keep that momentum up, I also, I don't know, I think there's an element of like, I think I need to get my head on a little bit for all the equipment and the product piece.
Mm. Yeah. No, those are, I feel like those are very mature thoughts. I think it's probably something that a lot of like new starters like yourself kind of go through. I think, yeah, I see definitely see some of these YouTube videos where they document their journey of starting something new. And yeah, I don't know. Like, for example, they're saying that they're doing a brainstorm sesh and they're like talking to the camera while brainstorming. I don't know how that works, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think yeah, I guess, well, at least for me, like as a I guess someone on the web looking at your content as well, and someone who's just following you as well. Is that I think it's been a great balance at least. At the end of the day, like what you said, product is key, and I think now it seems like your focus is more on like um, being able to expand and make just be able to push out that orders when finally when you're in that location and hopefully whatever the demand might be, just be able to produce a good, consistent quality of food.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And also, I guess like yeah, it's a huge importance for you too, right? That um, at the end of the day, like if the food is good, hopefully you'll have returning customers, and those are
Yeah.
going to be the most important people in at Sterling. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I mean, yeah, no matter I guess how big or how small the crowd might be on the first day, if you're able to get that, 10 people who are a super fan of your food, and next time, they're junior analysts or associates, whatever, and they need to order another lunch or dinner, it's gonna be a 83 pop. So,
Yeah, I think, and again, I think it's social media is great, and like I think you would be foolish to not use it, but I think that's from what I can see so far, it is a way to get people in the door once, and in reality, like the places that I go to don't have the best social media presence, and it's because I don't care about the social media presence. What I want good food at good prices with good service. I think that's it.
Interesting. Yeah, since we're kind of talking about kind of the introduction to, let's say, a new food or restaurant, um, for me, since I'm pretty new to Chicago, I've been myself as a new resident of this city to kind of look for, okay, like where do I go for these information? Where do I go for to find new places to go? Since you've been here for, quite a few years, like what have you observed or heard about how people kind of find new places or food to get?
I think word of mouth is huge. I mean, and
Mm,
this is probably goes for not just Chicago, but everywhere, but especially because the Asian community here is relatively small. Like somebody will have a
mm,
connection somewhere, and then someone will know something, and then they will automatically spread that around.
mm,
Like as an example, like when Mr. Tiger first opened the restaurant that I worked at, I had no idea it existed until a friend of mine told me that a friend of hers knew the owner, and then she was like, she
mm,
went on day one and she posted about it, and I was like, oh. So I got the introduction from social media because I was like, oh, it's Korean food. And I was like, I've never heard of it. Apparently it's in Chicago and it's brand new. I was very curious to know what it was.
mm,
So like social media plays a part into it. I think word of mouth plays a part into it in hindsight. Um, but I mean, I guess there's like a bunch of different, yeah, like those are probably like the biggest, right? Like, I think word of mouth and just social media. I think obviously there's like Google and like Yelp and like if you look up stuff like Reddit, I'm sure is also a thing. I'm sure like
mm,
Belly, like those food apps, like Open Table, like those are all avenues to try and find good food.
mm,
But I think reality is like especially when you work in the industry and like everybody sort of knows someone or like everybody knows each other, like it becomes very, very much like, this place is opening up by this person. This place is opening up by this person. It becomes like a cool sort of loop that way.
mm. Yeah. Yeah, I guess like I think maybe it's that side of my brain, but yeah, I was gonna bring it up since it's more of a marketing stuff, but I do realize that I guess your team is focusing a lot of more operations, just being able to set that up. So maybe it's a question for a later time.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I think what I was saying earlier is I think we're spending too much time on marketing right now. I actually think we're continually spending a lot of
Yeah,
time on social media.
yeah, 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 yeah. Since yeah, I guess like for you, then when it comes to operations, is it solely kind of on you to be in charge of that at this moment, or
Yeah,
how does the responsibility shift?
I would say it's mostly on me. I think it's not like again, nothing is like rocket science, and a lot of
Hmm.
this is just going to be have to figure out as we go. I think there's just a few pieces of key equipment that we need, like no matter
Hmm.
what.
Hmm.
And actually, we have a guy that's going to come in and take field measurements on Wednesday of next
Hmm.
week. And then he sort of like he doesn't like distribute equipment, but like he basically I think sells them for manufacturers. And
Hmm.
so It'll probably be a little bit more expensive than we'd like, but like if he can sort of navigate that for us, then we probably will check up a little bit more cash than others, just because we have no experience, right? So like we have an idea, right? And I'm gonna come to him with an idea of like here's what we want, like based on the experience that we've had, like we want the cutter over here, and then we want to do packaging over here.
mm,
We need this sort of cooling unit over here, and then we want fridge space underneath. But I think the details of like how big do we want it? Like what is the
mm,
reality of how much electricity we can use? Like have you seen this done before? Does this make sense? Like I think things like that will have to get a little bit of help with someone that's done it before, which I'm
mm,
thankful he offered up to at least come in and take measurements and things like that because I was like, right, we have no idea.
mm, mm,
So I don't know. I've never met this guy, so like I don't want to put too much trust in him. But he was referred to by somebody in the industry, and so to me it gives a little bit of credibility. And apparently he's actually done some work with Revival stalls before, and so that gave me a lot of reassurance. And so we'll just see how that pans out, and I'll
mm,
hopefully be able to record some of it. I think this recording thing is very new to me, but like I want to get into
mm,
the habit of doing it just because I think it'll be interesting for me too later down the road, similar to how
mhm,
we're doing this. But also, I think the whole point is like I don't want people to like I want to stay close to people. I want people to engage in the story because I think for as much as I love doing this, I think I want to show people that I am by no means like I'm not an expert in this thing. I don't know what I'm doing, but like all I know is I want to do it and then hopefully it paves the way for someone else to be like, well, maybe if he can do it, maybe it's possible that I can do it. And then
mhm,
hopefully I can help somebody else along that process long
mhm.
time from now. Not now,
Yeah.
from
No, I can totally see that. I see it. Wow. No, yeah, that's a huge thing. And I remember you guys were talking about maybe getting some machine over in Korea. So
now.
that's still going as planned. Jimmy's heading to Korea.
Yeah, it's not going as planned in terms of
Mm,
like we are not going to get a brand new machine because a
okay.
brand new machine costs $15,000 and a not brand
Oof.
new machine will probably cost half of that.
Mm,
And for all extensive purposes, we just need something to roll the rice and that's really it. And so if it
okay.
rolls the rice to the degree that we like it, then we don't need to worry about doing other things.
Mm,
So Jimmy is actually looking online for like used ones in Korea, and so he's still gonna go back, and then he's still gonna come back hopefully and be able to come back with a machine because I the goal is actually to have everything in place by early October so we can start testing everything and start running through things, and so that we are ready for day one. Um, and so we'll just have to see how that pans out. But I'm excited. I think there's going to be a lot of work to do over the next few weeks. But like it's everything is just one step at a time. Like I can't do all the things at once. So it's literally just like, okay, how do I manage my time to focus on one thing at a time and just like
mm,
tick off the boxes as I go.
mm, mm. How
Unfortunately,
does
life
that,
doesn't work that way, but
yeah, yeah, yeah. At this moment, how does that prioritizing kind of pan out? Is it that you set it by dates? Do you have like a block time every day? How does it work for you?
Um, to be honest with you, I actually quit my both my jobs last week, and so this is actually the first week where I'll like have time like all throughout the day, which is a
Hmm.
first. I'm not going to be exhausted. Although tomorrow, arguably, like because we had the pop-ups, that'll be a little bit difficult. But like normally, the problem with working restaurant jobs is it's very physically demanding.
Mm,
And so I find that I don't have time to work out. I don't have time to really prioritize things.
mm,
Now, though, what I'm hoping to do is get a little bit of a schedule going for at least the next couple weeks, next few weeks, while I am able to do so.
hmm,
Work out a little bit for the first time in a while.
mm,
But yeah, I think it'll just be like, okay, what is the top priority? Like basically, I work backwards. Like, what is the thing that's going to take me the longest, right, in terms of
hmm,
timeline? As in, like the machine, the lead time is probably going to be like for 3 or 4 weeks. That means I need to get started on it now.
hmm,
Another one is branding, right? Like the branding process takes at least 8 weeks, right? So that means that I need to find a designer now, right? And
mm,
so that sort of mentality is sort of how I've been approaching it. And then, things like the product development is something that is definitely urgent, but it doesn't have a lead time or anything. And so I think it's
hmm,
more like whenever I have time, I will always work on the product.
mm,
And then the marketing and social media is sort of offhanded to Margaret, who does all our social media, but obviously I
hmm,
play a big I'm very much involved in those details.
hmm,
And so I think that's how it should go.
hmm, hmm. Yeah, no, it seems like things are, coming to pieces at a time, and now that you have that, big chunk of time to kind of get things going. So yeah, it's gonna be, I guess, also a new kind of stage, new level up. to the pace of things now that everyone knows that's where you'll be at.
It's official. It's terrifying. Let me see how the video is doing. But the video seems to be doing pretty well. People seem pretty, pretty excited, and yeah, it looks great.
I mean, I feel like at least a majority of the Koreans in Chicago should have at least tasted it once, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's the goal. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's gonna be, yeah, I think, yeah, I just kind of, while you were kind of talking about, why you do this, and yeah, it was just in my head that it would be really cool for me, let's say me starting work, and I'll be, in your shoes in like a few years ago, starting work, going to corporate, and then maybe I need to, get some lunch or dinner, and I get to kind of introduce my culture
Yeah.
to my teammates and be like, hey, proudly say, "Hey, this is a Korean food that, that we have, it's quite delicious, nutritious, and a fellow, I don't know, like a Korean American here." So yeah, no, I was just kind of dreaming about it and already puts me to smile. So yeah, I hope, yeah, keep going with it. And
It's not too far away, man.
yeah,
You're never as far away as you think they are.
yeah. So
Um,
all support to you, Michael.
Thank you very much, man. I always appreciate it.
Yeah, well, it was a pretty packed week for you, it seems like, especially towards the end of the week, and a lot to come. So very excited about that. We'll catch you next week.
Sounds good, man. We'll catch you next week.
Right.